find a way to win. Still got 2 more, but they made, and I talked about this on Sunday, made it matter that they won the game on Sunday, right? The momentum of being able to just stack wins. And they can talk about momentum, they can talk about all these wins and how they can carry over and all that, and how, you just keep stacking days. It doesn't matter, you win a dramatic game if you don't go out and win the next day. One Royal Way back at it here on Kansas City Sports Network. I'm Joel Penfield. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You're hearing this on Wednesday afternoon. I appreciate those of you listening. A little bit later this week, had some personal stuff going on. Had to change the schedule around a little bit. Normally record, Tuesday nights up for Wednesday. So you guys have it first thing in the morning. You guys will have this for your drive home, though. So I do appreciate still, making this part of your day throughout the week. It does mean a lot to me. Talk about some of the bullpen stuff over the last couple of days, some observations from that. Talk about some of the injuries that have taken place over the last couple of games. Freddie Pasquantino leaves yesterday. Jonathan India done for the year. And we'll start this thing off with a recap of last night's 10th inning win on the West Coast against the Sacramento A's. I think that's what they're going by at this point. I think they've just leaned into it. So I may call them Sacramento A's. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Just can't do Oakland. It's one thing I can't do. We'll do that. This show, as always, brought to you by Emprise Bank. Member FDIC, our partners in Possible here at Kansas City Sports Network. Can't thank them enough for their support over the last few seasons. So I tweeted it out last night. Full disclosure, I didn't watch the game live. Like I said, had some stuff going on this week. I was running on very little sleep. I needed to just go to bed and not stay up until midnight plus, for a few nights in a row. So I watched it back this morning as I was getting my work day started. I watched the recap, went back and watched certain areas of the game that I wanted to see. And they win 4-1, found a way to win a game, lower scoring. The offense is really broken out. First time in the last calendar week, scored less than 5 runs in the game. It took them 10 innings to get to 4. But it's, again, like we saw on Sunday, finding a way to win some of these coin flip type games that they've really struggled in and struggled to find ways to win in over the last few weeks to begin this year. I'll start with Chris Bubich, who was fine. The walks have been a concern, for me, but I think you could go across this whole pitching staff, and that is, something that we've seen. I mean, it's 17 walks and 33 and 2/3 innings for him. The ERA is down, down to 3.7 after, a couple outings where he gave up 3+. He's still striking guys out, and that's not really a problem. But last year he walked 39 and 116 1/3. But the walks are up. And that's something that he's got to figure out. A lot of this pitching staff needs to get figured out. But it only gives up the 1 run. So not going to complain a ton. It's not like they came back to bite him, but you do play with fire more often when that is the case. But he only gives you 5. And with the way that this bullpen has been, it is a concern, right? It is something we do have to worry about more and more of, oh boy, who's going to cover some of these innings, because of just the volatility that we've seen from that unit so far this year. But to their credit, Schreiber comes in, shutout, 6th inning. Daniel Lynch gets the 7th, and we'll talk more about him later, but he gives you a clean inning. Matt Strom gives you a clean inning. A little dicey, 2 hits and a walk, but he gets 2 strikeouts, gets out of it in the 8th. Nick Mears probably has one of his best outings of the year with 2 strikeouts against the top of the order. For the A's, that was Jacob Wilson. You got Jacob Wilson. Jacob Wilson struck out twice in this game, and that's something he simply does not do. So that is pretty remarkable that they were able to get him in that situation. And you got Nick Kurtz, who is a fantastic player. It had some strikeout problems this year, but again, like in that spot, that's pretty significant. Um, and it was on a challenge. So shout out to Salvador Perez for getting the strike call there. Against top of the order, it was 1-2-3 in the ninth in a tie game, and they didn't let it bite him, which was good to see. And then you get Ursig to save it in the 10th inning, and it was a very unfortunately a Lucas Ursig type outing that we've seen so far this year, where it's a hit. He gets you the scoreless inning, but he still walked a guy. He got a strikeout, which was big, but he still gave up a hit, and it was still a little dicey in the end with the go ahead run at the plate and the bases loaded. But you're up 3. You find a way to win, and they locked it down, and that's another scoreless-ish outing for Ursig. It's not that I'm not gonna count the game on Sunday, but it was the placed runner that scored, not which is inherited and an unearned run. So another unearned, another 0 earned runs, I guess, this week, which that's 4 consecutive, dating back to the Tuesday outing against the Orioles, keep the game tied in the 9th inning. Offensively, he scattered 8 hits. Michael he's back in the lineup. He gets 2 knocks, which was really good to see. Salvi hits a homer. The power seems to be coming back for him. The average still not good. But it's up to 196 from where it was. So certainly take that. Lane Thomas is still hitting the ball well right now. Another hit for him. So he continues to climb. The biggest hit of the game, obviously, was Bobby Witt Jr., who comes up again in a big spot in the 10th inning and drives the ball out to right center. Obviously, you want to see him pull the ball more, but again, his ability to drive the ball to the right side is massive. And it comes on the heels of the inning begins with Kyle Isbell coming up. And no kidding, he's going to bunt there with the runner there. He pops it up and gets really, really lucky that it isn't caught. So then you have first and second. They asked Michael to bunt, first and second, nobody out. I understand that is the old school baseball play. There's one person I want bunting on this team, and it's Kyle Isbell. Michael Garcia is your leadoff hitter and can drive runners in. I think you just let him swing there. There are very few times that I think Michael Garcia should be bunting, and I don't think that qualified. I know it would have given you second and third with 1 out, but with the way that this team has struggled with runners in scoring position so far this year, just on the whole, I know they've been better lately. That's a situation where just let him swing, and here's a pretty good chance he's not so pull happy that he's just going to try and duck hook a ball. He is willing to drive the ball the other way if it's needed. And with who was the inherited runner? Nick Lofton, who's a decent runner, ball into the outfield is going to score a run, most likely. So I would just have let him swing away there. Instead, he gets a pop-up, and then now it's first and second with 1 out. And so you didn't gain anything from trying to do that. And it still wasn't out anyways. But Bobby makes up for it and hits the ball 104 backside. Perfectly placed when you consider where the wall was. Like you got the wall and then it shortens down where the bullpen was, and he just hit it right into the bullpen just on the line. There are very few stadiums, I would imagine, where that was a home run. I want to go look at the StatCast number while I'm thinking about it. But it's another big hit for him, and the power outcomes are starting to come for him as well. Weighted runs created plus is up to 116, which for him is still low. But for Bobby, it's just a continuation of what we've seen this last week. The doubles are starting to come. He had the triple on Sunday with the home run. He had another home run in that game, home run, stolen base, and that's the 18th time that's happened over the last couple of years. So that home run for Bobby, 389, it was a home run in 11 ballparks. It would not have been a home run at Kauffman Stadium. It would have been a home run The A's at Fenway, Great American Ballpark, Progressive Field, Angel Stadium, Dodger Stadium, American Family Field with the Brewers, Citi Field, Yankee Stadium, Globe Life Field, and Nationals Park, for those that may care about that. But it's a home run. It gets you a 3-run lead. And again, like you allow him to swing away, and having that extra run is so important. Like, and to go back to my reason for the bunting, I had this thought earlier. It escaped me, and it came back. Look inside between the ears for me. As the away team, I think the game theory and the game strategy is and should be play for 2 runs. Right? As the home team, obviously you have second maneuver advantage, but you give yourself a better chance of not needing to go into the next inning if you play for 2. I don't think bunting there allows you to play for 2 because you're giving a run away. Sure, a single scores, but you're chancing it and you're giving yourself less bites at the apple by essentially giving an out away, sacrificing Michael there. Now, if it were the 8 hitter that comes up and you have Kyle Isbell, who is a very good bunter, coming up and he lays it down, second and third one out, top of the order, it's a little different. I still maybe wouldn't love it, but with that being one of the skills that he has and what makes him such an asset at the bottom of the order, I'm okay with it given what we've seen over the last couple of years that he's leaned into that role. Not necessarily a role that Michael Garcia should have. Like, not everybody bunts. Like, there are guys that you see, they'll lay it down just to see it in batting practice. They're not practicing bunting. They're just seeing the ball off the barrel, then they go hit. We'll see, but we'll see how often they get into those situations again, and maybe it's a situation that they try again. But I like, obviously Bobby comes through, gives you 3 runs, gives you some cushion, and it obviously was significant given that you ended up in a bases loaded situation in the 10th inning, but Ursa gets out of it. So you find a way to win and then clean it up from there. Like, I'm not gonna nitpick about how they won the game and how it got dicey at the end because they found a way. And they did a really good job with inherited runners and guys left on. The only run that scored was another 2-out run, which is kind of something that this team has struggled with, but they held the A's to 2 for 12 runners in scoring position and left 14 on. So there was traffic for a lot of the night, some of it due to the walks from Bubic, but found ways out of bases loaded jams. Strom had one, Ursig had one. And you find a way to win a game on the road in a not a tough place to win, but a tough place to win a close game because of the offensive environment that they have at Sutter Health Park, with it being a minor league stadium that plays way more to the offensive side than a pitcher's park. Find a way to win. Still got 2 more, but they made, and I talked about this on Sunday, made it matter that they won the game on Sunday, right? The momentum of being able to just stack wins. And they can talk about momentum, they can talk about all these wins and how they can carry over and all that, and how, you just keep stacking days. It doesn't matter. You win a dramatic game if you don't go out and win the next day, right? Make it matter. It's the opposite of making, allowing losses to compound, right? Allowing the game the day before to beat you the next day. You want to be able to carry this stuff over, and momentum isn't necessarily something you can quantify, but I think it allows you to make these wins matter, and they managed to do that. Won 4 in a row. They're still in last place, but they've gotten themselves off the mat, at least right now, where you've won 4 in a row. You're 12-17, and you're not that far out of it, which is kind of the wild part of this, that even despite a horrendous start to the season and putting yourself so significantly behind the 8 ball, you're 2.5 out of first place because the leader in the division is exactly 500. So you're 2 games out of the loss column right now against with the Tigers. And again, despite being 12-17, you're only 2 games out of a wild card spot. So you're right there, all things considered. Which is why, sure, hitting the panic button is valid given that they started 8-17, and that is, puts them in uncharted territory when it comes to getting yourself back to make the playoffs. But the AL is so out of whack that you're still in contention. The Yankees have the best record by far. It's the Yankees and the Rays, and then after that, a bunch of teams hovering around 500 or worse. So you're not out of it by any stretch if you're Kansas City. It's just a matter of, are they going to be able to dig themselves out? And if they do, how far can they take it above 500 to really give themselves a chance? That's getting a little ahead of ourselves, but they've gotten themselves off the mat and in position where I think if they stack a few more of these, they're going to have an opportunity to win more of these games, get themselves a chance where it kind of looked impossible a week ago. It's amazing how things can change in this league, and it's why you play 162 of these. We're going to take our break, and we'll be right back, talk about the bullpen and some roles going forward.
Heather Luce, broker owner, Casey Local Homes, and Emprise Bank has been a great partner for us. They're our partner in Possible. Debbie and I hit it off immediately, and she was one of the first bankers that I would say sat down with me and actually genuinely cared about my story and where I was coming from and what I was trying to do, not just what kind of loan do you need, how much equity do you have, and she really kind of laid out my options for me and just made the process make sense, and I felt comfortable with it. Start to talk about it and think about it, a building popped up that I wanted, that I could afford, and it was in a great area. And so they really guided me through the SBA. I used the SBA loan to acquire it and really guided me through that process and made it happen. I think that we talk about that a lot, where we wouldn't have a business. We wouldn't have what we have here if we didn't have the clientele that we do. I've always functioned out of a people over profits mentality. The houses sell themselves, right? I'm here to help people and facilitate the transaction for them.
David Starnes Allstate Insurance is a proud partner of KC Sports Network, serving the Kansas City area and all throughout the Midwest. If you are looking for new coverage or something that better suits your home, auto, health, or any of your other insurance needs, give Dave and his team a call. Elevate your coverage and be worry-free with David Starnes Allstate Insurance.
You know that moment, the one when you realize you left your favorite sunglasses at the beach or on the roof of your car or at the gas station 3 states away. Well, I've been there too, but then I found Shady Rays and it changed the game. These sunglasses are made for real life, seriously good-looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. And here's the wild part. If you lose them or break them even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. So now I actually wear my sunglasses without fear on hikes, at concerts, on the boat, or wherever. Weather's getting warmer. Well, hopefully next week. We're getting a little bit of a second spring here. We're in a little bit of a winter into spring situation here in the Kansas City area. But you head to the ballpark and you're sitting on the first base side there for a night game. That's the time to wear your sunglasses, at least for those first couple of innings. They have sunglasses for golfing, fishing, hiking, and biking, and even sunglasses for kids. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. Go to shadyrays.com and use code KCSN for 40% off 2 pairs of polarized sunglasses. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, if you have not already. If you are on the audio side, I appreciate you guys as well. Leave a 5-star review. It does help the channel grow. Helps more people see this show as we go forward throughout this season. I think it's got to be pretty unanimous to this point in the year that Daniel Lynch has been the best reliever for this team. And the numbers bear that out. His usage is starting to bear that out as well. He came in last night in the game against the A's in a pretty high leverage spot. I think it was 9-1-2. Came up and ended up facing Nick Kurtz in that spot. In the 7th, I want to make sure that I get the order right here. Yes, it was. So he ends up facing the 9-hole hitter to then Jacob Wilson, Langoliers, Kurtz. Langoliers got him, but Langoliers hits lefties pretty well. But you get the leadoff hitter who's a pest in Jacob Wilson. I mean that as a compliment. He is he's a throwback player. Doesn't strike out a lot, doesn't swing and miss a lot, makes a ton of contact. But they held him to 1-5 with 2 punchies last night. So that, buy your lottery ticket, the fact that he struck out twice in the same game. And then getting Kurtz again, and this is a 1-1 game in the 7th. The Royals had just gotten back in it with the home run in the 6th. You need Lynch to hold it, and he did. And again, my opinion on him has changed quite a bit from the beginning of the year. Now it's also the calendar hasn't hit May yet, so a lot can change. A lot of guys can have a really good start to the year. But I came into this year like, is Daniel Lynch even going to make this roster? Like, I don't know. But then it became pretty clear, yeah, they're going to want to use that second lefty, alongside Matt Strahm. Is Daniel Lynch up to the task? Are they going to use him in a multi-inning role still? Is he going to be kind of a situational guy? I don't know. And with the lack of strikeouts, the amount of walks, the amount of, hard contact that he gave up and kind of danced through the raindrops, like, I wondered, is the dam going to break? And the expected numbers match up with the peripheral numbers match up with the back of the baseball card. And he's just not good. It's not a tenable situation. Well, it's actually gone completely in the opposite direction this year. And he's getting the production, a sub-1 ERA, 13 strikeouts and 11 1/3 after 45 and 67 2/3 last year. And only the 3 walks. And the 3 walks all came in one outing on April 1st when it was pouring down rain at Kauffman Stadium and the mound was a disaster. That's the only time he's really had a ton of traffic and really had no control of the strike zone. Other than that, pounds the zone. And it's not like it's a super overpowering fastball, but his arm angle's a little higher this year, as we talked about earlier this year, which has allowed him to get on top of the ball a little more and drive it at the top of the zone with a little more induced vertical break. Because he's never been a guy that gets a ton of spin. Like, he's not a high spin guy, but it's 2 more inches of induced vertical break. It's nearly 17, which is about league average, when it was well below before. He's mixed up the arsenal. He's thrown more sinkers to left-handed pitching. So it seems like he's found the right mix on both sides to be more effective, and he's getting the chase and whiff that basically no one else in this bullpen is getting right now. He's the only guy that's really able to generate a ton of it. Both the chase and the whiff, and the strikeouts have increased, and the walks have come back down to earth, and that number is going to keep increasing. Like, it's right now about 70th percentile walk rate, but that's just due to the innings. It's not like he's seeing a ton of traffic. And the hard hit rate is way, down from last year as well, if I recall. Yeah. It's gone from 32nd percentile to 82nd. So we're seeing a completely different Daniel Lynch now that is showing now he can handle high leverage situations. They kind of worked him in a little bit in some, low leverage, mid leverage. And then last couple times he's been deployed, it's been, hey man, we need you to get us to the 8th. We need you to get us to the 9th, whatever the case. And he showed he can handle it, which I give him a ton of credit for. Now, I think my opinion is the pendulum is now swinging a little bit too far on what Daniel Lynch's role is as we move forward. My guy, Jack Johnson at A10WHB and the Locked On podcast did a show a day or two ago where he said Daniel Lynch should be the closer for this team. And I balked a little bit. I'm like, whoa, what? I listened, and I think he lays out a really good argument. I'm not going to read off all the points because just go listen to his show. He does a really good job. I think that is swinging the pendulum too far on Daniel Lynch. And I understand a lot of it is due to just, Strahm is good, and I think he's going to continue to get better. Some of the peripheral numbers for him are way better than the standard results right now. So I think as long as he keeps the walks down, I think he's going to be just fine. And with Lucas Erceg, yeah, he's not the same right now. The walk rate's absurd. He's not getting any swing and miss. And the strikeout rate isn't good enough. Like, I understand that. And maybe if Carlos Estevez is able to get back closer to what he was in 25, that changes the calculus on this. I just right now don't view Daniel Lynch as a closer. I think he is best in the role they're using him. 7th, 8th, high leverage spot. Go get him lefty righty because he's actually doing a pretty good job getting both sides out and not just being a lefty specialist type, which sometimes can happen to these guys that are, starters that move into relievers and they kind of realize they're probably just a lefty specialist. He's actually done a really good job getting righties out too, and the changeup has been a big part of that. Q mentioned that over the weekend as well. Do I think he deserves to continue the high leverage outings? Absolutely. And he needs to be in there when, with Strom, he needs to be in there before, as a bridge to Lucas Ursig. And I think that's great. And that is a development I did not see coming, especially when you looked coming into the year, okay, Strom, Ursig, bridge to Estevez, and then you have Mears and Lynch and Schreiber, all kind of, Alex Lang kind of figuring out the mix and the bridge to those three guys. That got blown up immediately. Ursig has to become the closer, and the swing and miss kind of has disappeared for him over the last 2 years. Strom has been fine, but even the bridge to those guys, Mears has been really inconsistent. Schreiber has been really inconsistent. Alex Lang has walked the world, even though he's one of the only guys that gets a lot of swing and miss on this team, but I don't think you can't trust him in that spot. And it really became God dog it. Who's going to get outs for this team? Daniel Lynch has stepped in and said, I got it. And it's a success story of this coaching staff because it was not working as a starter. It was not going to work as a starter. And I know they wanted to keep him a starter as long as possible. That said, it seems like he's really embraced being a one-inning reliever. And that takes some mental fortitude on his side as well. He was a starter probably his entire life, and that's what he thought he was going to be at the big league level. And now he's going and he's getting outs, whenever they need him out of the bullpen, and there's no kind of waiting around for the spot start or the chance to. He's just going to go get outs in the bullpen. And that is significant for this team. I don't know where this team would be. I mean, we think about the way that the bullpen has played out for most of this year if they didn't have Daniel Lynch. And I think he's going to continue to get used more and more. He's only thrown 11 in the third innings so far this year. I imagine he's going to end up throwing a heck of a lot more. He's probably going to get up, I imagine, around that 60 to 65 game mark. And we'll see what he ends up doing. But I've liked what I've seen. I think he's been really good. I still am cautiously optimistic just because of the larger sample that I've seen over the previous couple of years. Willing to move off of that take as the sample grows, but right now still, I think it just swings the pendulum too far to have him close out games. If Ursig is burned and they need someone to go do it, absolutely. Give him the opportunity. And if he goes out there and it's a 1-2-3 inning with 2 strikeouts and it's comfy, more than willing to change my opinion. I'm not hard and fast on this stuff. But I just, right now, the experience that Ursig has closing out games, the experience that Strom has in the back end of these games for, nearly a decade in the big leagues, the potential of a Carlos Estevez coming back, there are still options. And there are still guys with track records. That does factor into this as well, but obviously we'll see. One of the moves that got made before the game yesterday, roster move, was Eli Morgan goes back down to Omaha, and when Ravila comes up. Ravens is healthy, Lugo's healthy, Walker's healthy, Bubic threw yesterday, Noah Cameron's still going. It is interesting that they bring him back up. Could it be, maybe it is giving Noah Cameron a day, given that his last couple of outings have not been stellar? Well, actually, no, I scratched that. He went to 6 innings and he gave up 3 after he left the game. Regardless, it has not necessarily been the best start to the year for Noah Cameron. And some of the peripheral numbers are really poor. Maybe they give him a spot start. But the fact that he came up for a reliever into potentially a bullpen spot, It is interesting. It could be that same long relief role because they want to continue to let him start. I also think potentially they see the writing on the wall with this bullpen that outside of Daniel Lynch and maybe Sharman Erceg, there aren't many other guys that were like, oh yeah, that guy's for sure going to go and get us 3 outs in a clean inning. You know, this may be the opportunity where they say, hey, I know we want you to start. We still believe in you as a starter. We need outs. And he was good out of the bullpen last year. The stuff ticked up, the swing and miss, the strikeouts were there. I think it's just a better role for him. And I hope that he gets an opportunity to throw a single inning in Sacramento or in Seattle just to see, right? Like, hey, Schreiber has thrown the last 2 days. It's a 1-run game. We don't want to get Lang in there. Hey, go see if you can get us to the 8th. And he does. If he gives you a scoreless ending with a strikeout and a couple of weak ground balls, it may provide the opportunity for Luinder Avila to carve out a role in this bullpen. And with Lang, as I talked about on the postgame show on Sunday, as I talked about on Monday with Jason Anderson, I don't know how much longer the leash is. I know that he gets a lot of strikeouts because of the stuff is like electric, but the control's a disaster. Like, he walks so many guys that you just wonder, like, how tenable is this? And for a guy making $1 million, I know it's a good story because he's a Kansas City guy, but you can't keep sending him out there in some of these situations. I don't know how much longer it's going to go. And maybe Avila is the writing on the wall there that potentially it's closer to the end for a guy like Alex Lang than maybe we potentially believe. Couple of injury notes that came out yesterday. I'll start with the big one. Jonathan India, who had been on the 10-day injured list with a left shoulder subluxation, fancy word to say, shoulder popped out and dislocated. He is actually done for the season. He had a labral repair in that shoulder, and so he's done, which then essentially means his time in Kansas City is done as well. Obviously, when they traded for him, it has not gone the way that we all thought. God, this is going to be the on-base guy that we need. This is the guy that is going to help transform this lineup, and it has just not gone to plan. And 153 games with the Royals, he slashed 228, 322, 343. It's an 87 OPS plus. The on-base percentage, obviously way down from his time in Cincinnati at 352. And the power wasn't there, but different ballpark. And a lot of it, I think you chalk up to, he was probably a guy that was just best suited to play in that ballpark in Cincinnati. Just from an offensive standpoint. I do think you could attribute some of the struggles last year to he'd been a second baseman his entire time in the big leagues, had never really done anything different. And the organization decided, hey, we're going to put you at third and we're going to throw you in left and we're going to move you around a little bit. And he got off to a really slow start. And then, with Massey getting hurt and being ineffective, hey, you're just going to go back to second base. Once he settled in and they moved him down in the order, he was better, but it didn't go to plan. Sometimes you take swings as a front office. Sometimes it works, sometimes they don't. JJ Piccolo's track record when it comes to trades and acquiring talent since becoming the GM has been pretty good, right? When you think about getting Cole Reagans, getting Lucas Erceg, getting Ryan Berger, Stephen Kolek, like injuries is, the injury thing with Berger is unfortunate. But when he came up to Kansas City last year, he was really good, and Kolek was good as well. Obviously, we know what Reagan's turned into in that 2024 season when the form we're hoping that he gets back to. So when it comes to those things, like no one has 100% success rate on trades. And sometimes you got to take swings to try and make it, and it didn't work. But on the flip side here, and I saw people saying, I wish we've just kept Brady Singer. So here's what Brady Singer's done in his time with the Reds. 32 starts last year, which that's what Brady Singer does. He's good at post. It was where are we at here? It was a 3.98 ERA, or not a 3.98. It was a 4.03 ERA, a 3.98 FIP. It was 163 strikeouts and 169 innings. He walked 60, which was a career high. It's a little bit over, 112 ERA plus. The FIP around 1.2, which is about been his career. A little bit below. Career was 1.3 before. It was like, okay, he was fine last year for, a Reds team trying to turn it around. This year so far in 6 starts, it's just 29 innings, 19 strikeouts to 7 walks. He's given up 5 home runs. It's a 4.97 ERA and a 1.6 WHIP. So it's not like he's been a world beater, for the Reds. He's in a contract year as well. He's going to go and sign somewhere and be a mid-rotation guy. But I'm not sitting here going, damn, I really wish this team had Brady Singer last year. The only reason you may say that is just with the injuries. But he also had the propensity to be an every other year guy. And, it would have been one of those odd years. So it was a 4.06 ERA his rookie year, then 4.91, then 3.52, then 5.52, then 3.71, then 4.03. That's just been, his career. And they had to go and trade from a strength, which was their pitching, to try and acquire offense. That was kind of the expendable guy, because I would imagine Brady Singer was not going to sign an extension or come back to Kansas City, and that was the pitcher that they chose. So I'm not having any sort of referendum on that trade. I don't think either player has been stellar for their current team. It'd be one thing if Brady Singer all of a sudden was a sub-3 ERA guy and really turned things around. That wasn't the case. So it is what it is. It's unfortunate. You hope Jonathan India is all right, is going to be able to come back and play for another team. I wonder what his prospects are going to be on the free agent market. 2027 is obviously an unknown across baseball, but I do wonder, is he going to be a guy that gets a guaranteed contract somewhere, on a 1-year prove-it deal? I think being a guy that's a high on base, high character guy, probably. But I also would not be shocked if it's he's a non-roster invite. Just injuries the last couple of years have not been good. I think he's very ballpark dependent from an offensive perspective. Outside of getting on base with walks, who knows? It's unfortunate that that's how his tenure in Kansas City ends. Now, you probably have close to a straight platoon at second base between Michael Massey and Nick Lofton. Massey's been pretty good as of late. Did really well on the homestand, so we'll see if that helps turn things around. There's always the prospect of injury with him. And he, was really hot and cold because he's not a guy that walks. So he's when he's in one of those dry spells, there ain't a lot of on base to go with it. At least with Jonathan India, he was still going to work walks, even if the offense wasn't there. He's still going to find ways on base. There isn't a lot of that with Michael Massey. So there's a reason why I tweet out, like, holy crap, Michael Massey walked whenever it does happen, because it's a pretty rare instance. Nick Lofton's had a good start to the year. But is that going to get overexposed over a larger sample and more opportunity? I hope it's a chance for him to make the most of it. I like the guy. I think he's a fine bench utility player. But now he's going to have a larger role. We'll see what he's got. This is going to be the biggest test for him so far in the big leagues, because he's going to play probably 100, 110, 120 games now. Pretty close to it. The other injury that came out of yesterday's game, Vinny Pasquantino left in the, which was it? In the 6th inning. And of course, it was a game where he's had he got a single and a walk to begin the game, and he grounded out, and he grimaced on a swing when he ran to first. I guess it's something, according to the team, that Vinny, said it's something he's been dealing with for a while. Quote after the game: "I was just having a hard time getting it loose today. My work was real light because of that. Just trying to get ready for the game. Felt like I had 2 productive at-bats to start. And then the last one, just felt like I couldn't make the moves I wanted to make. I had a hard time getting out of my swing and running to first. Didn't specify how long a while was, but he did say he and the Royals have been trying to manage it. That includes treatment. If you go back and look at the walk-off against the Angels on Sunday, when they're in the pile at home plate waiting for Lane Thomas, Vinny has like a wrap, like a heating pad or something like that, around his back when he ran because he was going to come up in, that inning potentially. He was in the hole at that point. That is not ideal for this to be, part of it. In the quote from Vinny after the game, pushing to play, but at the same time, it's April, got to be smart, pushing for the long haul. See how I feel when I wake up, going to see the trainers in the morning, maybe get in the pool, something like that. See how I feel, see if I can get it loosened up and go from there. With it being April still, and I know that they're, where they're at, you probably need Vinny in the lineup, even though he's maybe not been the guy that we thought he was going to be. I think you keep him out today and you let Salvi go to first, you get Jensen behind the plate, and give Vinny the day. Let Lane, let Nick get some of these plate appearances and go from there. But it does put them in a little bit of not necessarily a super tricky spot because you still have Jack who can play first. You have Vinny who can play, or you have Salvi who can play first. Nick Lofton can play first in a pinch. But it is unfortunate when the offense looked like it was starting to get going. Vinny has shown signs that he's starting to get going, and now this pops up. So we'll see what he's able to do, if anything. If they're able to avoid an IL stint, that's obviously ideal, but I would not rule that out at this point if they just give him a breather to try and fully get healthy, because part of the reason why Vinny struggled out the gate last year is he had I want to say it was a hamstring that kind of affected him for the first part of the year, and then once that healed or seemed to have healed, that's when he took off. This is not an injury excuse because I know that he wouldn't view it that way either. Like he would be the first to tell you that he has not played well and the back is no excuse, but it does affect your ability to swing. It does affect your ability to get around on balls and square them up when that flares up and it's a quick twitch muscle situation. So hopefully he's able to either manage it, figure it out, or 10 days, get to a rehab assignment and come back. And hopefully the back tightens up, is able to loosen up and get back to where we think he can be. I think that is going to do it for this episode. I appreciate everybody listening on Wednesday afternoon. Michael Wacha on the mound against Luis Severino today. And then on Thursday, it is a day game getaway day for the Royals. And that one is going to be Noah Cameron against Jeffrey Springs, lefty-lefty matchup there in Sacramento. And we will be live with a post-game show when that game ends around 5 o'clock or so. So look forward to talking to you all then. Hopefully we got a couple more wins to talk about before they head further north to Seattle for the weekend. Appreciate everybody. Talk to you soon. Have a great one.